Good morning, everybody. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I am joined by the chief of police, Kathy Lanier, the deputy mayor for public safety, Kevin Donahue, our director of the D.C. Crime Lab, Jennifer Smith, and members of the Metropolitan Washington Gun Recovery Unit. We are also joined by our Congresswoman, Eleanor Holmes Norton. We're here today to talk about guns. We know that the nation's attention is on guns. We know that there is attention on Capitol Hill about guns, and I want to stand as a mayor of a major city where just about 700,000 people live in communities across our city and demand action on guns. We know that guns leave friends, families, and neighbors to pick up the pieces after gun violence. They take too many lives by homicide, by terrorism, by accident, and by suicide. We know the horrific tragedy, the largest mass shooting in the history of the United States of America that took place in Orlando, Florida, where our LGBTQ friends were targeted and killed. We're tired. We're very tired of people saying that there's nothing that we can do. We know that guns kill people. Guns kill people. Certainly, the type of havoc that was wreaked in Florida, was wreaked in Sandy Hook, could not have happened but for the easy availability of guns, and we have to have common sense gun reforms. We know in our city that families are torn apart every day, or certainly too often, by gun violence. So I want to thank the President, Senator Chris Murphy, Congressman John Lewis, and all of the Congress people who have bravely stood up and said enough is enough. I especially want to thank our Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, who has a unique challenge in the Congress. Not only does she have to speak up for the nation's gun laws, but she has to make sure that Congress people from other states don't try to put their views on the District of Columbia. She has had one such fight this week. So we thank the Congresswoman, the Congress people who have been up all night and are prepared to be there for as long as it takes to get action. We're also very proud of the senators who filibustered and who are standing up for common sense gun protections for neighborhoods and families and for our country. So with that, I want to turn to our Congresswoman to talk about the unique challenge that the District of Columbia faces in this fight and what more we can do. Congresswoman Norton.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bowser. I can't thank you and Chief Lanier enough for what you are doing against the odds, and the odds, frankly, are coming from Congress to keep this city safe and to keep gun peddling down in this city. Your scheduling of this display at this time and of this press conference at this time is very important as we continue our sit-in on the House floor. The mayor said she thanks us for standing up. Well, the fact is we were sitting down. It's the first time that I have ever actually sat on the House floor. So when you hear people say they are sitting on the House floor, they're not. They're sitting on benches. We were sitting on the floor to make a point, and a point that is clearly a point for the nation, but a point very much for the District of Columbia, which is and continues to be a target for Republicans when it comes to taking away our gun safety legislation. Now, to be sure, there are three bills. All three have a lot to do with the District of Columbia as well as the nation. No fly, no buy, of course. You shouldn't be able to get on a plane if you're on the fly list. The Surgeon General has been kept from issuing an annual report on the effect of gun violence. We try to overturn that. But perhaps most relevantly for the District of Columbia, we want to expand the background check system. I mean, we here are captured by the fact that neighboring states, particularly Virginia, have wide open gun laws. And you can go to Virginia without virtually anything, hardly any identification, purchase a gun out of somebody's trunk of his car and bring it back into the District of Columbia. That's where our problem is. So the district needs this national background check legislation, perhaps more than any other jurisdiction. But I do want to show you how what's happening on the House floor is even more relevant to the District of Columbia. After Orlando, when we were still mourning and still deep in shock on Atlanta, we had a direct attack, literally, the very next week on the district's gun safety laws. So when I sat in yesterday, I was doing so first and foremost for the district because we had just had an important victory. I had gone earlier last Friday to the Rules Committee and tried to make the case for why 3 bills to undermine the District of Columbia gun laws should not be made in order. And perhaps it was Orlando that helped me, but none of these bills were made in order. But you should know what they are, because these bills keep coming back even when we keep pushing them back. And so far we've been able to keep our gun safety laws intact despite these constant attempts. One would have said you can bring into the District of Columbia and carry, either open or concealed, shotguns, rifles, or handguns. You need not have a license even in the state from which you come. Another of these bills would have repealed what 3 courts of appeals have upheld, and that is D.C.'s good reason requirement if you want to have a gun even in your home. And then the other, heartlessly, would have repealed the enhanced penalties that the district law requires if a gun is brought near schools or recreation centers, in other words, where kids tend to congregate. We were able to get every last one of those made not in order and not brought to the House floor. It was yesterday that we were supposed to go on the House floor. There, I must tell you, I would have found one of the authors of these gun amendments, Thomas Massey. He's the one that 2 years ago wanted to wipe out every gun law in the District of Columbia. He comes back with conceal and carry. And this is what this man said after Orlando, and I'm quoting him. Gun control is not the solution. The only practical way to have prevented the tragedy is by eliminating gun-free zones where security is inadequate to protect law-abiding citizens who are otherwise capable, willing, and endowed by their Creator with the right to defend themselves. I introduced these amendments to reduce the likelihood of a similar tragedy in D.C. This man had the gall to say he was doing us a favor. That gives you a sense of why, for me, what the mayor and our police chief are doing this morning is so very important. We are sending a message to Congress. You can keep coming, and we'll keep fighting back.
Thank you, Congresswoman. So just before we came up, I congratulated members of our gun recovery unit who is out in neighborhoods across the District of Columbia each and every night looking for illegal guns and making sure we get them off the street. It's a unit that the chief will talk a little bit more about that has found much success in doing their work. What I assured them is that the people of the District of Columbia stand with them. We love our police force, we support our police force, and we look to them with us in making sure we're providing more opportunities in communities, but also to keep all of our residents safe. And so we are proud of the work that they are doing about illegal guns. We know, too, that residents of the District of Columbia are fed up with gun violence, and we continue to ask them for their support in giving us information about illegal guns and helping us close cases. and we appreciate all of the residents working hand in hand with us, which is a testament to the police community relations in Washington, D.C. So I'm going to ask Chief Lanier to talk specifically about what the gun recovery unit has been doing, and then we will make ourselves available for some questions.
So the fine-looking men and women you see around the corners of the room here is what currently makes up our gun recovery unit. And while the mayor and the congresswoman are taking up the fight on their level, these are the officers that are taking up the fight every single day on our level. We asked the director of our forensic lab to bring just a few of the guns that they've been bringing in off the street recently here, so you can see what it is that they are facing every day. And to tell you the kinds of cases these officers are making and the kinds of danger that they put themselves in every single day would really make you shudder. I'll give you a quick example. Just last week, our officers in the gun recovery unit got information around 1 in the morning that a 17-year-old boy had made a threat to his 17-year-old girlfriend that he was going to kill her and her entire family and then shoot up her school. The gun recovery unit worked with that young woman through the night, found an on-call emergency judge and interrupted his day, got an emergency search warrant, was able to go and recover an AK-47 from the individual involved and over 180 rounds of ammunition. If anybody thinks for 1 second that the actions of the gun recovery unit there didn't save countless lives, you're making a mistake. That's the stuff they do every day. We had a shootout in Ward 7 just a few days ago, 2 days ago to be exact, and within a couple hours of the shooting, our officers and detectives were able to, again, get emergency search warrant and recover another AK-47 with numerous rounds of ammunition. So the number of times that these officers in the gun recovery unit, and more than 3,000 guns they've recovered, by the way, just this one unit, more than 3,000 guns since they were started and working. We've had the same leadership in this group, Sergeant Kurt Sloan, most of you know Kurt, who also got an award today. Just this one unit, since they started back in the middle of 2007, has recovered over more than 3,000 guns off our street. But for them to have to put their life on the line against these guns every single day, and sometimes the same people with new guns over and over again, that's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. They're out here trying to make sure our community is safe, and our community members love the work they do. So we owe it to them to make sure they're safe. And trying to get assault weapons out of the hands of 17-year-olds who have a grievance with their girlfriend is probably a really good idea. And so for all the work that our gun unit does, I am so grateful that you are the brave men and women that you are, and that you keep coming in every day and doing it again and again and again. Thank you very much.
All right, we're happy to take some questions.
Mayor, was this previously scheduled, or just because of
identify yourself please, for the part of the
Okay, I'm Sam Ford, Channel 7. Mayor, was this previously scheduled before the sit-in, or was it because of the sit-in?
No, actually, we talked about doing this yesterday morning, and the chief let me know about a recovery of AK-47 and several in the last, I don't know how long, but we are alarmed by finding these rifles, these high-capacity rifles on our street, and we know that these altercations that could be non-lethal are more likely to be lethal when there's a gun involved, and especially when it's a high-powered rifle involved. So I wanted to call attention to this question, and also to what the assault on the district's gun laws by this congressman. I don't even, where is this one from, Eleanor Massey?
He's from Kentucky.
The congressman from Kentucky. Now the congresswoman has been able to successfully beat back that attack, but it was a real clear focus for me when I got a message about the Congress attacking our gun laws, the chief telling me about an AK-47, and on top of that, over the weekend, the high profile incidents like we, of course, saw in Florida. That was a tragedy. But unfortunately, our officers and a whole D.C. government is responding to gun incidents all the time. Over the weekend, it was reported that a woman was shot dead in her home with her daughter watching. This was an incident of domestic violence made lethal by a gun. So no, we didn't call this when we knew there was a sit-in, but you can see the confluence of energy around good-meaning Americans. And it's not just the Democrats. I am convinced that there are Republicans all across our country who want their representatives to do the right thing. And we're calling on them to do that. Matt.
Matt Ackland, Channel 5. Chief, can I ask you a question? I'm just wondering, as you look out over these 4 tables here, do most of them come from neighboring states, do you know, and do you believe that this, crackdown on the ability for people to get these type of guns in neighboring states will reduce the homicide problem here?
So our ATF actually works with this gun recovery unit, and they do trace on the guns that we can trace. You can't trace them all, but the ones that we can trace. And they come from a variety of states, but yes, the vast majority of them are coming from our neighboring states. There are gun shows that are held, I think, monthly or close to monthly, just across the border in Virginia. So a lot of these weapons make their way back into the district. I've talked to chiefs from most every major city in the United States, and we're all seeing the same thing. This is not unique to the district. We're all seeing these types of weapons showing up in our cities, being used in street crimes with very deadly consequences. So the work that the gun unit does is not just to get the guns, but then to trace back where they're coming from. While there are some that are stolen, there are some that are purchased, straw purchased legally and then passed along and resold to criminals, and some that are purchased legally and then brought back into the district. So,
do you believe taking these type of guns off the street federally will reduce the homicide rate here locally?
Oh, I do, and it also makes my officers safer. I hate the thought that my cops have to go out there and face these weapons over and over and over again.
Lou Chavarro with the Washington Blade, both to the mayor and the chief. I was wondering, since the Orlando tragedy happened, there's been a lot of talk in the LGBT community in different places in the country about training members of the LGBT community to use firearms for self-defense and to coach them into how to get a legal permit or license to possess a firearm. Do you have any thoughts on that? Is that something that would make sense or not?
Well, we convened a meeting with our GLU unit last week, right after Orlando, to talk to people. What we largely found is people in shock and really traumatized by the event. So we want to support the community in that way. We won't have any plan to promote firearms ownership or training in the district. Certainly people can avail themselves of what is legal, but we won't be a part of promoting it. We will make sure that our nightlife community, and we want to be supportive of our nightlife community so that they have, and already I think one of the associations prior to Orlando had convened people to do some training, but this is, I'll look to the chief to help give a support for the nightlife community, so clubs and bars know how to get organized and trained and respond. Chief?
So MPD organized a meeting just coincidentally just prior to Orlando with our nightlife community. We have officers that are specially trained and assigned to our nightlife areas all across the city. That is their, primary function, is to be nightlife safety officers. And they do it for a lot of reasons. You get a lot of people that come here to visit our nightlife entertainment areas, and we want them to be safe from everything. If you've been down in some of our nightlife areas, when everything's closing up for the night, there's big crowds of people that are, coming out, trying to get across the street, trying to get to public transportation. So there's a lot of reasons to have officers there. But those officers are specially trained. And they're specially trained to make sure that we keep those areas safe, and they have equipment that's assigned to them. And then they go and they train the nightlife establishments themselves, the bars, the bar managers, the bouncers, the folks that work in those club zones. And so that's really the best way to keep people safe when they're out having a good time, is make sure everybody knows what it is they can do to decrease our risk and increase our success. And I think we do that very well here.
Chief, did you have any thoughts on whether individuals who are scared about this type of thing should think about getting their own gun?
I would never advocate that everybody that's afraid this is going to happen go out and get a gun. And just to me, that's just, the the violence issue is not resolved by telling everybody to go get a gun. Not in my mind. This is Washington, D.C. We have, there are processes you can follow to get a firearm for protection. And if you follow those processes, you're welcome to it. But the answer to the gun violence is not arming everybody.
Chief, is it fair to say, based on your earlier comments, that you agree with the mayor and you're somewhat calling for a ban of these heavy weapons, the assault-style rifles, and you think that would help us here locally?
So I think for law enforcement, Major City Chiefs has very clearly, for several years, made it a priority for us to say that as police associations and police chiefs across the country, we feel that the gun show loophole needs to be closed. People should be required to have a background check and a mental health check before they're able to purchase firearms. So we, as a law enforcement community, we say reasonableness is all we're asking for. Reasonable. So when you talk about assault weapons, and again, I just gave you some scenarios that we deal with here every day, and I think as the law enforcement community, we're just asking for some common sense reasonableness in terms of what is we see not only putting our community in jeopardy and lives in our community in jeopardy, but the officers who are trying to protect the community's lives in jeopardy as well.
And I also wanted to add that we have refocused our crime lab in D.C. to assist the police and the prosecutors in investigations of crime, and really focusing on a more quickly turning around ballistic evidence. So I want to thank Dr. Smith and her staff for those efforts, and the deputy mayor also. We moved what we called the Safer, Stronger legislative package last fall, which included a supplemental budget. And part of that supplemental budget was more staff at the D.C. Crime Lab. And the chief has reported to me that she has seen that it's been helpful to have a more quick turnaround of that evidence. So we thank you for being here. Thank you very much.